We're going to talk now to Harris Iqbal, because for many millions, apparently 4 million or so in the Northwest, what happened at 9 o'clock last night was, for someone like me who comes from an Anglo-Saxon Christmas celebrating household, it was like Christmas suddenly being cancelled and everything that entails. Harris Iqbal, who's the CEO of the Wakefield-based charity PennyAppeal, has written a wonderful piece today, which I suggest you search for online if you have a moment, about what this means for those who were preparing to celebrate Eid. Welcome to the programme, Harris.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you. Thanks very much for having me. My
pleasure. And tell us how it's felt for you and for your community.
Well, I mean, it's been an interesting series of events, and like you said, this announcement was made very late on yesterday evening, on the eve of Eid-al-Adha, which, as you rightly described, for many Muslims is like the day of Christmas. And so many families already had plans that, purchased gifts for loved ones and friends, and, they had family meetups scheduled accordingly as well.
And so, to explain, has it been absolutely? Is it you have to have it next year? I mean, are any of you allowed to meet in any settings inside?
Well, I suppose the issue is that the announcement and the sort of instruction from government seem to say that mixing in a household area is what you can't do. And albeit new sort of measures and announcements and limitations have been announced during the course of today, up until yesterday, when people were having to change plans and sort of navigate through what they had perhaps prepared. And I know, for example, a couple of my friends had prepared, a marquee in the garden and had, tables and chairs laid out where they could socially distance and put in safety measures for families that may have been visiting. But all of that had to then stop. So from that perspective, it has caused a lot of frustration. And I think the frustration at the center of this and at the heart of this is not the sort of dismissal of the fact that COVID-19 is a very, very serious issue. And actually, we as community members have to do everything we possibly can to reduce the infection rate. It's actually the strategy that the government perhaps adopted to announce this firstly through a tweet on Twitter very late in the evening. For some people, they may have not seen it. For many people, they're not on Twitter. So, waking up the next morning to know, have I broken the law or have I gone against instructions? I think there's validity in the question to be asked, which is...
Yeah, the messaging was bad.
Was this the best strategy? Was this the best communication
plan? Can I ask you how you feel that... how was the tweet taken in the community? I know that there's been some suggestion that there's been a sort of stigmatization of the community because of the communal living aspect, and some suggestions from other quarters on LBC earlier today that the communal living has been responsible, the way you celebrate things communally, prayer and food, and it's been an unfair way that the Muslim community has been stigmatized in the course of the last 24 hours.
No, absolutely has been, because, I mean, just earlier before coming on to join you on this call, I saw a BBC article which spoke about how, the police are having to patrol seasides because they're flooded with people. And so, this isn't, necessarily a Muslim issue. Absolutely not. This isn't an issue about people coming together during the day of Eid, when actually, measures were in place and could have been in place. And I suppose by equal measure, what I'm also saying, having been on the front line with PennyAppeal's team responding to COVID-19 across the UK and globally, we and the community at large fully understand the challenge at hand that we have as a nation and that we have globally. But
yes, You've come out, and I feel what you've said today is almost that there's been a really reprehensible degree of victim blaming in some of the reaction to the lockdown in Leicester, Blackburn, Oldham and Rochdale, because actually the Pakistani and Bangladeshi communities that as your leaders have said during the course of the day, have actually been in the front line of this crisis in terms of being care workers, NHS workers, drivers, and, you know, you've been in public facing roles. And now you're being held partially responsible for the fact that there's a partial lockdown in your areas. I think it's outrageous.
Totally. I think that's where the frustration actually stems from. In that, you know, broadly, the first few doctors that tragically lost their lives were from the Muslim faith. You know, many...
The first dozen or so. I thank you
Absolutely.
for reminding our listeners. Harris Iqbal from the Wakefield-based CEO of the charity The Penny Appeal. Thank you very